Hello everyone, it's SpawnPoiint and here are the best new games releasing in February 2026 that you need to know about. Whether you're looking for something intense, a survival horror, stealth or a new couch co-op game to play, I've got you covered. But before we jump in, let me know what games you were looking forward to playing this month. And first up, we've got Romeo is a Dead Man, and this one looks really weird. It's a brand new action game from Grasshopper Manufacture, the studio behind games like No More Heroes and Lollipop Chainsaw, so you already know this is not going to be normal. So you play as Romeo, who basically dies, gets brought back to life with some crazy high-tech gear, then ends up working as an FBI agent, chasing criminals across space and time. It's definitely one of those classic hack and slash type games, and I'm loving the look of it. Now expect this to be fast-paced combat, over-the-top weapons, and a vibrant, slightly unhinged vibe as you'd normally expect from their games. But I think this looks like a lot of fun and one to keep your eye on. It's set to launch on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC on February 11th. And probably one of the most anticipated games this month is Resident Evil Requiem, the classic survival horror from Capcom. So straight off the bat, you can see how brutal, cinematic and awesome this game looks. And what's great is you can either play this first person or third person depending on which one you would prefer. As for the story, well, we're heading back to Raccoon City where you play as Grace Ashcroft, an FBI analyst who's been sent to investigate some strange deaths at the hotel. Now you'd also be pleased to know that Leon is back and he's got a bigger part to play this time as you're able to swap between the two characters both with different experiences. Now Grace is more about stealth and evasion with limited weapons, while Leon, as you would expect, is all about the full-blown combat and shooting anything that moves. In fact, I'm pretty sure that by this point the enemies are more scared of him than he is of them. So Resident Evil Requiem launches on February 27th and that's coming to the PS5, Xbox Series, PC and Switch too. And if you've got a PS5 Pro, it will be enhanced for that too with up to 120 FPS. And next up is this ridiculous comedy shooter that you'll either love or hate, and that is High on Life 2. So if you've ever played or watched the gameplay from the first one, you'll know just how weird, rude and awesome this game is. Because don't let the colourful cartoony gameplay fool you, this is not family friendly. So it's a first person shooter game where you're exploring the galaxy planets with your trusty gun that just so happens to have a voice and a whole personality of its own. Now the story carries on from the first game, but you're now a bounty hunter with fame and fortune which is kind of gone to your head. But don't worry, because someone from your past brings you back down to Earth as they've put a price on your sister's head. There's new locations, new threats, and they've also added new skills like skateboarding, so you can now skate around the levels a little bit quicker. So if you want a ridiculous comedy shooter game to play, High on Life 2 drops on February 13th, and that's coming to PS5, Xbox Series and PC, and it will also be on Game Pass day one. Now, I am always on the lookout for a new couch co-op game to play, and this month we're getting Reanimal, a new game from the same team behind the first two Little Nightmares games. You play as a brother and sister trying to survive and escape this twisted, terrifying island while searching for your missing friends. Now, there's a mix of survival horror, stealth and platforming as you need to explore these pretty creepy looking levels, solve puzzles and try to avoid the enemies in the shadows. It's sort of everything that I wanted Little Nightmares 3 to be. And the great thing is this will support both single player and co-op gameplay, online and local. So if you're looking for a new couch co-op game to play this month, this could be it. Reanimal drops on February 13th on PS5, Xbox Series, PC and Switch too. And next is Styx Blades of Greed, which is the third game in the stealth series where you play as a goblin thief in a world of elves, orcs and humans. If you've played the previous games, you'll already know that this game heavily relies on stealth. And unlike other straight up action games, Blades of Greed is all about sneaking around, planning your route and using the available tools. You can go invisible, make clones, even mess with the enemy mines. There are stealth takedowns, you can pickpocket and you can even see through walls. It's kind of everything that you want from a stealth game. But what's new, you might ask? Well, it's now got new traversal tools like grapple and glider, climbing, wall running, and improved crafting. So yeah, if you fancy a stealth-like action game, Styx Blades of Greed drops on February 19th, and that's coming to the PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Now, just like how predators in games go for the slowest or weakest prey, hackers do the same thing online. And if you're not using ExpressVPN, you're basically walking around without armor. So anytime you jump on public Wi-Fi like a gaming cafe, hotel or airport, your data isn't properly protected. Literally, your passwords or even your payment details can be grabbed way easier than people realize. And it doesn't take some endgame boss hacker to do it, basic tools are enough. And that is why I use ExpressVPN. It puts a layer of protection between you and the internet, encrypting your data so it's not just sitting there waiting to to be looted. And the best bit is how simple it is to use. Simply open the app, hit one button, and voila, you are now secure. I use it on my laptop, PC, and phone, especially when I'm traveling or away from home. On top of that, I can use it to access movies and TV shows that I cannot normally get here in the UK. Films like 28 Days Later and 28 Years Later. So if you want the same protection, use my link to get 4 extra months with ExpressVPN. Now, have you ever wanted to jump on Microsoft Flight Simulator, fly around the map, and then just start shooting anything that moves? Well, Aces of Thunder could be what you're looking for. Now, this is a new flight combat sim from the makers behind War Thunder, where you get to choose from 15 different maps, fly around the skies, get into battle, shoot down your targets, and pick from a range of 29 aeroplanes. You'll also be able to walk around the hangar between missions, jump into the training sessions, and play online multiplayer with your mates. Now, as you might have noticed though, this is primarily a VR game, but you will be able to play this on the PS5 and PC. But the good news is you can also play this with a controller and you do not need to have VR. I think from the trailer and the gameplay that we've seen, this looks like a lot of fun. It's launching on February 3rd and that is coming to the PS5 and PC. And we're also getting a new Yakuza game this month, well, kind of. Yakuza Kiwami 3 in Dark Ties is new and it's a mix of 2 games. It's a full remake of the original Yakuza 3, which is rebuilt from the ground up, where we're getting new visuals, improved controls and combat, and a story that's said to be true to the original. Although, spoiler alert, apparently the ending has been changed. And then this is packaged with Dark Ties, a brand new story for Yoshitaka Mina. Now, this story is set before the events of Yakuza 3, where you get your own combat style, new modes, and new missions. But what's great is you'll be able to swap between both characters at almost any point in the game, explore, take on side quests, or just karaoke until 3 AM. So if you want that classic beat-em-up gameplay this series is known for, this drops on February 12th on PS5, PS4, Xbox Series, PC, and Switch 2. Okay, and Nioh 3 is shaping up to be the next big action RPG from Team Ninja, where you play as a young samurai heir about to become the next shogun. But in true Nioh style, things don't quite go to plan. So it bounces you around different time periods and regions on a mission to save Japan, throwing you into fights with legendary warriors and supernatural enemies. Now it looks like they've doubled down on everything that the series is known for: samurai combat, brutal fights, and deep progression. But it now lets you swap between samurai and ninja combat at a press of a button. So for those that can't decide which they would rather play as, well, you can literally swap on the fly. Fortunately though, combat still has that classic Nioh feel, quick dodges and tight weapon combos, but this time there is more freedom to explore open areas, and you can even team up with other online players. In fact, you can play this with up to a team of 3. Genuinely, I think this looks really good, and it is confirmed to be dropping on February 6th, and that'll be on the PS5 and PC. Dragon Quest VII is getting a rebuilt from the ground up remake called Reimagined, which launches on February 5th. And this is a full-on remake of the classic PS1 era. Now the core story is going to be the same, so you're a young hero and a group of friends travelling between islands and time periods on a mission to restore the world's lost memories. But they've updated it to look like this. So we've got towns and dungeons and battles that have all had this new stunning art style, and it definitely makes the world look more like a storybook, if that makes sense. But there are also quality of life improvements like revamped combat options and class systems that should make this remake feel a lot more modern with smoother gameplay. Now I'm going to be honest, I've not played the original one, but Dragon Quest VII Reimagined launches on February 5th, and that's coming to the PS5, PC, Xbox Series and Switch. And next up, if you're a Mario fan, we've got Mario Tennis Fever, and this time is coming to the Switch 2 with a massive roster of characters, all kinds of wild courts, and a brand new fever gauge mechanic for those power shots. Now you're still doing the classic top spins and slices, but once the fever gauge fills up, you can go crazy with the shots. Now there's the usual modes like local multiplayer, as well as online, trial modes, and an adventure mode. Now if you've got a Switch 2, you've probably got this one on your radar already, but it drops on February 12th. And if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, we've got these new games dropping in February. These are the free monthly games we get on all plans, including Essential, Extra and Premium. And don't forget to add them to your library regardless of whether you download them straight away, as you'll get to keep them for as long as you have an active sub. Okay, well that wraps it up for February 2026, and I think it's a pretty decent month. We've got horror games, couch co-op, remakes and sequels, so hopefully there's 1 or 2 in here to keep you busy this month. Now let me know what games you're looking forward to playing. And if you drop a nice February games in the comments, I'll give you a thumbs up for staying right till the end. And if you did enjoy today's video, check out my PS5 tips video next, as it covers 20 tips that you need to know in 2026. Well, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and follow me everywhere. Until next time.